I want to touch base on a couple of things because I'm loving having this conversation, man. Thank you. If you got to go, let me know.
But, no, I'm good.
So we're like I said at the beginning, we're sort of living in a time where there's going to be a power sort of balance where the players are going to, finally be in a position to demand. And we're talking about franchising, if you guys don't know. There's rumors. There hasn't really been anything said about it, aside from the fact that there is. And the rumor started like very early on last year, where Richard Lewis sort of like went deep and uncovered this sort of announcement to the public. It's a public company that whole shebang. But I think that we're going to be living in a place where you guys are going to be able to demand certain things that need to happen. One of them, don't update shit while there's a tournament going on. Period. Do you think that there's, in your opinion, do you think that there is a place to have a Call of Duty game outside of Call of Duty that sort of is the same competitive setting every single day? Think Counter-Strike, but adding new maps to fit whatever new release is happening.
I think they could do it, but I don't think it would be successful.
Okay. Let me ask you this. In your opinion, what is the right way to go?
That's tough. Having 3 different devs is a super, super tough thing to deal with regardless. But I think there needs to be
communication amongst the devs, because they don't even fucking talk to each other.
Right. That's what's insane to me. I've never, obviously they're companies, right? I don't want to say they're competing against each other, right? Yeah. They're businesses in their own rights. But that's actually mind-blowing to me. They're working on the same franchise, the same model of a game, regardless of creating their own IP. Like, why is that communication not
Agreed.
Why can't you share shit? You're helping everyone.
I know.
I've never understood that since I've been started this. It just doesn't make sense to me.
No one has, and no one will ever understand. I mean, maybe now with the franchise stuff and having to pay, I don't even know how much.
See, I want to know how much franchising is going to control Call of Duty. Obviously it's going to control our entire dynamic, right? We are going to be whatever, but how much is that going to control Call of Duty? Because our biggest fear has always been a shit COD, right? We go from a great COD to a COD that's not so great, doesn't have as many features, doesn't have as much support, doesn't have just the right balance, right? That's always the fear. I mean, hell, we went from a 2011 Black Ops 1 season to MW3 not even having LAN. Yeah. And that whole year was just a bust. Yeah. It was just nothing. I mean, had a couple European events, but you're still playing online. How does that happen? And obviously it hasn't happened since then, but there's always a fear of a bad Call of Duty being perceived. And let's say Black Ops 4 is a really good Call of Duty. The public really likes it, but IW just happened. What if there's another cycle that the public hates?
I think there's rumors of Modern Warfare 4 or something.
Yeah, which I think would be great. I think that's something that would, if they can keep to that classic Call of Duty, that can just get people back, right? Yeah. Because I think, dude, even when I get talked to in public, I get walked up to, and anyone that played Call of Duty, they're like, I hate the new shit. I hate the jetpacks, the specialist weapons, just all the new shit. And obviously, Call of Duty as a business has to innovate, but there's always the fear of whatever comes next not being good. And I think a bad Call of Duty game is bad for everyone, right? It's bad for players. It's bad for Activision in terms of CWL. That just sucks because, I mean, we're fortunate in this game. There's a lot of people that want to watch Black Ops 4, but if we go back to World War II, it was stagnant to watch. IW, people just didn't care about the game. I just kind of am interested to see how much control franchising has in terms of ensuring that there's going to be a game that's well addressed early on. Yeah.
Well, I think that's what I'm talking about. I think that this is the moment in time where we're going to be able to say, this is what we want as part of this deal to happen. Because look, whether the rumors are true or not, and they're talking about regionalizing or doing the same model that Overwatch did, I don't know if I'm okay with that. I don't know if changing the names of brands that have been building this scene, because let's get it fucking straight. Yeah. Okay? Yes, Activision built Call of Duty. Call of Duty is Call of Duty, belongs to them. Without Call of Duty, there's no competition. Sure. But the building of Call of Duty esports didn't happen with their help. I mean, there is written proof. There is video proof.
Not even just esports. Like, you're looking back to early Call of Duty, that was FaZe, Optic. People just wanted to see sniping, right?
Yes.
It grew the game, regardless of whether they think it didn't. Like, those two brands, in terms of sniping in general, grew YouTube.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, a lot of popular, current day popular people came from Call of Duty.
Yeah, when you look at all these big streamers, I mean, let's look back to when it was like, remember in the back when it was Xjaws, Gold Glove, T Martin, Jericho. There's so many YouTubers I can name. All starting Call of Duty.
Yeah,
and now they're just popular PC streamers, whatever game they want.
Yeah, so it's safe to say that it wasn't necessarily the Call of Duty built it, but it was the personalities that came within it. We didn't have to go back and step back into Call of Duty, competitive Call of Duty, to continue to do what we did. Yeah. But I like competition, and I love Call of Duty, it was a perfect marriage. But I want to make clear of the fact that at no point did Call of Duty help in any way. It was a community, MLG and UMG, that built competition in Call of Duty.
If anything, it did the opposite. It kind of negated a lot of stuff that could have happened, right?
Yeah, I mean, think about this. Because a deal didn't happen, there was no competitive season during Modern Warfare 3. Yeah. And Modern Warfare 3 was a really fun game to play.
And it was popular. It was it's still to this day one of the most popular ones.
Yeah. I mean, the epic what was it? The epic pack where you got all 5 specialists.
Oh yeah. And it started COD Elite then too. Which so many people don't know. COD Elite is now the CWL Twitter. Like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, that was like that $800,000 follower Twitter, which was just COD Elite, was rebranded to CWL.
I didn't know that. Call of Duty Elite, why did they take that away? I understand owning the IP to the point that it's yours. Own it, for sure. Yeah. But there are some situations where it makes more sense to just allow people to have this sort of different IPs. For example, you have Fortnite Masters, right? Which is a website where you go and take the data that Fortnite itself has publicly, and then you create this sort of other standalone thing. I think ICE during that time was able to, we're talking about Andrew Peterman and 360 Icons, they were able to
take... He lives down the street now.
Yeah, he works for you guys. But he was able to take the information from Call of Duty Elite and sort of create this sort of external community place to go and see who was the best at what. They shut that down, which made no sense, right, to me personally. They have done absolutely, not up until recent years, and I won't say ever, but up until recent years, they had done absolutely nothing. If you think about all of the Call of Duty champs, the $1 million tournaments that they put up, that wasn't for the goodness of the game. That was an advertising. It was a marketing. I don't want to say ploy because it sounds negative, but it was an advertising event for them that happened 2 months after the game came out.
And a lot of people don't understand. Like, we're talking now, they're in August, right? But back then they were in March or April. And the reason they were in March or April is because the DLC 2 was always March or April. It felt, everything, if you go back and watch, the Champs ads were all ran based on the new DLC. Mm-hmm. It was it. That's what it was for.
It was the second, the second roundabout to get more money. Yeah. Now, I want to be very clear on this very fact, okay? If I own Activision, I do the exact same thing because my fiduciary duties sort of forced me to do this. So from a business standpoint,
for shareholders,
I get it. Okay, so I'm not talking about that. But I also don't want to create this sort of illusion that they did anything to grow Call of Duty besides create Call of Duty. I mean, the only one that's had our back from the beginning was Vonderhaar, right? Because he's the one that took the effort, made the effort to come out and see.
And even the devs, I mean, their hands are so tied in what they can do and what they can't do. Yeah. So it just makes it harder.
As an artist, you're literally being told what you can or cannot put in the art that you're creating because the lawyers watching the lawyers in a very publicly traded company is happening. But I do think that now is the time for them to really make a deal happen to where the players, the orgs, and them all have a hand and a say in everything that's happening. Look at what's happening right now with fucking Accelerate and Midnight, right? Like it is. Look, I'm choosing to talk about it right now because we're having the conversation. I chose not to say anything on Twitter because I don't want to seem like the bully in creating something because I don't want to seem like the bully in judging other people because at one point or another, it seems like a bully because I already did what I did with Optic. I already built what I built with Optic. And for me to talk shit about something that's happening currently is just not, not nice. But I'm talking about it right now. It's unfair to the players It is.
It's just, at what point do they step in, right? Like, you're literally witnessing organizations do players dirty with scummy business tactics, whatever it may be. Like, you got to step in at some point. You're owning this league, right? Like, how is this allowed to happen?
It's not. It shouldn't be allowed to happen. The fact that people who didn't make the league are now in the league. Look, I get along with a lot of these players that have done that, but right is right, and taking shortcuts for the sake of winning short term has never been something that I'm willing to do.
And what I've seen on Twitter a lot is this year is being used as a trial run, right? Like, but at the same time, you cannot give franchise-like control to people who haven't purchased a franchise spot, right? Like, it just the players have no control this year whatsoever in terms of their security and safety.
I think one of the problems has always also been the fact that they've sort of taken too much control of what MLG does from a competition standpoint, right? Like the Adam Epicelis of the world, the Sunnies of the world don't have the same input that they did. Well, same thing's happening to me right now, right? Some of the input that I had in Optic is no longer there, and I mean, you see what's happening. But the thing there is that everybody sees that it's wrong, and nobody's willing to step up and say it's fucking wrong. What pisses me off the most is that you, as the org owner, whose job is to raise these players to be in a position to make a living, right? You're there for them; they're not there for you, right? That is the way that I've always done Optic. The fact that they've seen the outrage from the community and they still have the balls to not say, you know what, I made a mistake. Let's go back. Let's keep everything in place. Let's wash our hands. Let's have a do-over. People are more willing to forgive somebody that makes a mistake and tries to correct things, because we're all human. We all make mistakes. But they're just choosing not to do that. They're choosing to say, yeah, everyone's mad. I don't give a fuck though. It's my.
But I'll be here next year.
It makes no sense to me, and I don't think that's gonna fly.
Yeah.
I don't think that's gonna fly. It shouldn't fly, and that is because and that is why. It shouldn't, and it won't. It can't. If this thing goes through, right? If they don't turn this thing back in time, it's going to set a bad precedent going into the next year. And when you're about to, demand who fucking knows how much for league spots, you're going to look at this point in time and say, well, I get mad because for 10 years I've worked to be a part of the process that makes something not the Wild West, right? People. How do I frame this? Okay, so in order for organizations to survive, advertising is a big obviously fans are number one, done. But advertising and sponsorships drive a lot of the business. And when you are operating in a space where advertisers don't want to sponsor Call of Duty because it's a shooter, they don't want to sponsor Counter-Strike because it's counter-terrorist, it's a shooter, and you see
blood and gore, and there's
blood and gore, and then you see shooter games like Fortnite, shooter games like Apex, shooter games like Overwatch get all these Fortune 500 blue chip companies come in and sponsor because they're not reality. Like, you should be able to do everything in your power to make it as clean as possible. Because when they start demanding these crazy ass amounts to own the league, and people are going to win. It's a safe investment, in my opinion. Buying a Call of Duty franchise is, in my opinion, a little bit more safe than buying Overwatch at the time.
To be fair, Call of Duty has been a staple for how many years now? Let's see, 2004, 2005, 14 years. The game's model obviously works. The game is going to be ball. It's going to be light.
Right. And it comes with an already established competition league.
And fans. And fan bases in competitive and both casual.
And fans and superstars.
Yeah.
Right? Where in Overwatch, it was brand new. There were competitions, but it didn't have the history that Call of Duty had. It didn't have the sale history that Call of Duty had. It didn't have the success that competitive Call of Duty had. So you think, it makes you think, what are they going to do? What are they going to ask for? And that's what I'm saying. We have to look at all this, and if it's wrong, don't fucking do it.
Yeah.
Period. Why take shortcuts?
From the earners call, the quote I think I saw on Charlie Intel was that Call of Duty hopes to franchise with a model similar to Overwatch's, right? I think that was the quote from that annual report call. For me, it's as a player, I don't care about the geolocation. I just think swapping out brands is the dumbest thing we could do in Call of Duty. It's just there is no gain from that, in my opinion. If you want to be all right, well, Optic has to purchase Houston, Envy has to purchase Dallas, face has to purchase LA. Like that to me, that's cool. Like I don't see any downside in that in terms of just headquartering wherever.
Yeah.
But losing the brand would lose too much, and it's like starting over, right? Like you're basically going to take all the player fan bases, whatever, and then put them on new teams, and it's just like it just doesn't look right. Like what's Scum without Optic?
Yeah.
Obviously,
what's Optic without Scum?
Right. Yeah. I mean, but like those two are hand in hand. They're paired. Like they go together. Like I just feel like swapping that is just doing more harm than good.
Yeah, look, I've said it in this specific podcast like more than 10 times. Going to regionality is like, I don't like it. I see its value, okay? I see its value. But for what exactly? You know, having live events, having
That's
meetups.
the goal, right? The home games and like the away games.
But let's think about this, all right? Think about what it would take for somebody to put somebody on a plane.
Oh yeah.
And then have them go on tour the way that the basketball player, like you're almost not thinking about the players in this thing. And that's like, you always start with the players. They're the show, God damn it. Okay, they're the show. You start with the players, and then from there you build around that. Okay, and from a business standpoint, you go with the safe route. You go with the thing that's going to make you money. And who's going to make you money? The players. So if you're not player focused, and then from there you go to org focused, and then from there you go to league focused, you're always going to be starting out on the wrong foot, in my opinion. Because when you start to think as a player as just something that is a part of your plan, they're the chess pieces, you're already starting off wrong. You can't just assume that they're going to be okay with traveling nonstop, not going home, not having free time, not having all these things. Because think about what it would take to do a tour. Think about what it would take to do a world tour.
Even doing that now, like, all right, let's just plan a schedule. Let's just say it's like an NBA game where, let's say, I'm headquartered in Miami. That's my team, whatever it is. And I have to fly to LA, Seattle, and Vegas. Yeah. Like, we're not practice.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going, I'm flying, I'm here, I'm playing one match.
Yeah.
Then I'm leaving, flying to another place 2 days later playing one match. Flying another place playing one match.
When do you practice? When do you see your family? When do you have time for yourself? What if you have a girlfriend? If you have a wife,
you don't.
Like that's what I'm saying. It's backwards in my opinion. What I don't like about any of this is the fact that look, yes, we want to follow in traditional sports because it's a successful business. Teams are going to be billion-dollar properties. Sure, some teams will. But at the same time, why follow in old school? Why apply old school sort of business practices in 2019 where there's something different? Like some of the things that I've seen in the plans of other, not necessarily Call of Duty or Overwatch, but other franchise sort of things. They're like, yeah, we're gonna follow this TV model and blah blah. And I'm like, TV model? Like, what are you talking about? TV model? TV's done. Like, why are we going backwards in a sense? One thing's for sure. The next year is gonna this year is gonna define how the rest of Call of Duty history is defined.
Oh, for sure.
And
this off season too is going to be crazy.
Yeah, the thing there, bro, is that again, if Activision, the orgs, and the players don't get together in one room and figure it out to where everybody benefits, and it has to be that way because the resentment of the players saying, well, the org is the only one that's benefiting here, and the league, I'm not, or oh, well, the players are the only ones that are benefiting. They're being treated like superstars, but we are the ones that built it and this, that.
Yeah.
Or Activision's like, well, we can't give we own Call of Duty. Without Call of Duty, it's like where do you play?
You have more info here than me, but like how much, if Call of Duty copied the League of Legends model, would that be win-win for everyone? You'd have to be headquartered in probably LA or wherever they decide, Activision decides to headquarter, whatever. And you keep your brands. Yeah. And you have obviously a lot of stage games, but you're in-house.
Yeah, I think
those are the ticket sales.
Yeah, I think keeping the brands is priority number one.
Yeah,
because
I think everyone agrees.
It's 10 years.
Yeah,
right. And even if you add Houston up,
you'd have to go with like the Houston OGs or something.
Right? It's like it doesn't make sense in my opinion because what happens to all the fans from fucking London, all the diehard London Optic fans? That they now get a team. Yeah. Now I'm forced to pick between my favorite team and my city. Like that makes no sense. It's a segregation that we don't necessarily need. Esports, it's a global phenomena, and they're trying to be like, no, too big. Let's make it smaller. And look, obviously the traditional sports model works, right? It works. I get it, but we have to innovate. Those who don't innovate stay in the same place. You know what I'm saying? You're literally staying in the same place and not looking for a better future, in my opinion. I don't know, man. I guess we'll see. I think there's a lot of goods in everything, but again, I think priority number one is for everybody to get on the same page. There's 3 players in this new thing. It's the league, the owners, the leagues, the orgs, and the players. Yeah. And if everybody benefits equally and it's fair, then fine. It's going to be a success. But if that shit doesn't get taken care of early on, it just won't.
And back to your point about Call of Duty never helping, like, the thing that's always pissed me off as a player is why have player skins been so inconsistent?
That answer is, look, man.
I mean, you know what I'm saying, right? Like,
I do.
Obviously there's business to be done outside of the just putting the skins in the game, but that's win-win, right? You're growing competitive, which is still what you own. You still own the CWO, and you're growing it. You're growing the brands inside it. People are gonna fucking want to know more about it.
And you're making money. More money. Right?
Right.
Yeah, you're making more money.
Have you seen some of the reactive Black Ops 4 camos?
Yeah, some of them.
You're telling me like a reactive Optic Gaming camo would not be insanely
Dude, lawyers,
sick.
Man.
No,
lawyers.
That's always been the biggest downside, right?
You got to think about it like this, right? Me, as the owner of Optic, I say, all right, well, we have a pretty large fan base, so we should get a better deal than maybe somebody who doesn't have as big a fan base. But let's just say, for the sake of goodness, I'm like, let's all get the same. Let's all get the same amount. They're gonna be like, yeah, but without Call of Duty, you guys wouldn't exist. And then you're like, well, no, we would though, because whatever. But they're like, the lawyers are like, no, we own the IP, we own Call of Duty, we can pick and choose whether or not we put their logos in here. So why should they get more? So it's like just this weird power dynamic where they own the courts, we own the basketballs. Like, can you play somewhere where there's no court? I don't know. Can you play on a court that doesn't have a basketball? Like, it's weird.
That's a good example.
And then you have the lawyer saying yes, but the other lawyers, the ones above them on the floor above them, say, yeah, I don't know. Let me ask the lawyers above me. And then they go and they're like, no, because all they know is billions, right? They could give a fuck less about the $4 million that you can make in skins in a week. You know.